hot take: Rental Family is like the Matrix, bro. It's deep.
What about
This- Hello, dear YouTube Sangha. Welcome again to Peace of Mind. I am Dharma Peace.
I'm Dharma Sky.
Alright, guys, welcome to the channel. And today, what we have for you is a new approach to talking about the Buddha way, or talking about what we've been into lately. And that's been Rental Family, a film starring Brendan Fraser, directed by Hikari. I really enjoyed the film. I went there with my wife. I thought it was just a beautiful film, and I was looking forward to it. I knew I wanted to see it the first time I saw the trailers, and my wife agreed. How about you, Dharma Sky?
Yeah, I mean, I loved it. I didn't thought. I mean, I knew there was gonna be some aspect of Buddhism, but I didn't knew there was gonna be like so much significance in all the movie. So I'm sure you can identify with it. Going to Japan, especially the first time that you went, you went all by yourself. I can't, but I do know how it feels to be new. And when you go to a new place, you kind of scared and you don't know what to do, and people could sway you one way or another. So I think you can see that in this movie. We got the character Phillip. He goes to Japan, struggling actor, can't find his way, and then he's offered a job of being in a rental company, where people just kind of call the company and they say they need, for example, they need a father figure or a friend or I don't know, brother, uncle, something like that, and they pay you to pretend to be a member, to be one of those member of your family or something like that.
Yeah.
So I enjoy that. I don't really. I mean, I guess I could understand like it feels so void, but I don't know why I would. I don't know. How do you feel about that?
Well, the first time I ever even heard of rental families in Japan, while in Japan, was from Conan O'Brien. And there's this little mini series he did about coming to Japan, and that was like when I first got here, or within the first couple of years of me being in Japan. And yeah, like that little skit that he did was very memorable, and it was hilarious. But I feel like the film, and so that I think that the rental family industry, if you can call it an industry, there are businesses that rent families, but I don't know if it's like a bona fide industry in the way that we use the term. However, there is a way, like if you go to Tokyo, there are firms that do this. And
You can rent anything. Like I've seen people just pay somebody to cuddle, to just go in bed and cuddle or just hug you for a little bit. Like it's just wild. I saw that like in a little clip, just like you did, and I
Yeah.
saw that. And I think I saw a couple times like renting a girlfriend, and you guys go on a date, and you're eating, and she's laughing at all your jokes, and you're the most handsome and greatest guy ever. Yeah, it's an interesting concept over there in Japan.
Yeah, and it's kind of got this whole the truth is stranger than fiction sort of vibe to it, right? And I feel like that's what is so appealing. But now, when we get into the Buddhist perspective on that, it starts to get at something. Sometimes it's called Maya, but we can just call it delusion or illusion, like the illusion of our reality. And that's where I feel like that's why this film is so impactful, is because it's like peeling away the facade that, and we look at it as truth is stranger than fiction. We look at it as vicariously, like that's just something that's happening to those people, or that's something unique to Japanese culture. But I know that in the United States there are various ways that people do this kind of thing. Maybe it's not in an industry, but it actually, to me, having lived in Japan as long as I have, and just talking about it as a business format, to me it actually comes from exposure to American culture. And I know that in Japan you have face culture, and that sort of comes from and extends this idea. So face culture, or saving face in Japanese, is called mentsu, right? And it's a major concept where you have to save your face in public. Mentsu o tamotsu. That is that's how we refer to that in Japan. But
If I understand what you're trying to say, it's like it's important how you're being viewed.
yes, and that's where like
So for
rental.
example,
Oh, sorry.
yeah,
That's where rental family
I'll
finds
say
a
like
niche. That's where that industry finds a
yeah.
niche. Is through that.
You understand what you're trying to say? It's like in the beginning of the movie, you have Philip. He's trying to. They offer him to marry this girl, and the reason that she wants to get married, she wants to look good for her family, but she really wants to be with her girlfriend and go to is it Canada that they go? But yeah, so
Well,
that would be a good example for it.
yeah, they right. That is a great example, actually. In fact, I'm so glad you brought that up because I kind of forgot about it when I was thinking about the film and like all the different customers, all the different clients, and
Yeah,
but no, that was a major arc there in the story where I think it was his first client, right? Where he had to pretend to have a wedding, and he almost chickened out. He got into the
you
bathroom
was hiding in
stall,
the
and
toilet, all scared, and
yeah,
then you don't want to do it. I mean, I understand. Like you're trying to, even though it's not real, like the fact that you gotta think about you're gonna marry somebody you don't know them, it could be a little scary, even though it is fake. You just kind of.
it but yeah, it
But
winds up
that's
being
kind of
a
like
very yeah, sorry, it winds up being a very altruistic endeavor
yeah,
that where he actually does help this young woman by faking out this wedding and you know, and then Aiko, the assistant, she is yelling at him through the bathroom stall, "Get out of there now!" Like,
yeah. He's
and
he's trying to run away.
Philip
Yeah,
is
I like that.
reacting.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Philip's reacting the way I feel like most of us would react. Like, oh my god, this is
Exactly.
wrong. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. But I think that's the beauty. I like that's what I like about Philip. I think he kind of lives that bodhisattva way where he's kind of like, even though he don't know what he's doing, like you can see him that he wants to see these people happy. It's not like just a job for him. Like as more, he gets a little attached to the people, spending more
Yes.
time with them, and you see him that he starts sacrificing himself to for the betterment of the others.
Yes.
Like for example, you could see that when Kikwa, am I saying it right?
Kiko. Yeah. Kiko.
Kikwa, like he asked him to take him back to his hometown,
Yeah.
and they told him not to do it, but he felt so compelled to make him like his last wish before he loses his, he has dementia, so before he, the memory's not there no more to see his hometown, and he knows that's illegal and probably gonna cause issues, and he does it anyway because he want to see a smile on Kikwa.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I think you can see that throughout the whole movie. Philip, open his heart, creating more compassion towards others. Like I really like that character for sure.
Yeah. And I just so everybody know, like Kiko, more often they would call him Hasegawa-san in the film, and but like he was an actor. That arc, I feel like, is the main. It's like the core of the film. It's like the film. So each of the clients definitely has a central role when they are in focus. And I'm so just like Mia, the fake daughter, like the daughter that he pretends to be her father. That's a major arc, but Hasegawa-san's arc is also central. I feel like it's the most central feature because and the reason is because the way it foreshadows a revelation at the end of the film. There's a few
Yes.
symbolic references and a few motifs that really show us what Hasegawa-san represents in the film, and which leads us into Hasegawa-san he was an actor. He's a retired actor. He is developing dementia. He has lots of regrets and lots of sort of like he's lived a long life, and he has a lot to unpack to Philip. And so that's why Philip is pretending to be this this biographer for him, which I think is fascinating. Why didn't he just hire a biographer?
Right, right.
But
I think every character shows you little something different. When it comes to about Buddhist practice. I think Kikwa. I think it shows attachment. It could show attachment, having done attachment, letting go.
uh huh.
Mia earlier. I think the lesson there is forgiveness. Like she had to forgive the anger that she had towards her dad, and the one time that she spent with him thinking that was her dad. She opened her heart a little bit. I was so worried about that little girl. Like, oh, that guy's gonna come here in 3 weeks. He's gonna abandon her. Like he's gonna break her little heart. Like I was like, oh, please don't do that. Please don't do that. But yeah, yeah. I
What
mean, I like
what
that little character.
what I have to say about the Mia arc is that with the story of Mia and that plot line, they start out with asks Philip to pretend to be Shion's father, the boy. I believe his name's Shion. I want to
Yeah,
say.
yeah, being class.
Yeah, and he like so she asks him right away, like right, it was his first encounter with her in the schoolhouse. Is would
Yeah.
you be this boy's father for this activity?
Mhm.
And of course, so I thought that was very interesting and related to like what I might call like karmic coincidences or something, where you
Yeah.
you know something is wrong about what you're doing, and then but then someone says something and it is sort of makes something that you're trying to suppress come to the surface of your worries, right? So let's say you're worried about something you've done wrong, and then somebody says something, and then you know we all, but it's like the guilty conscience situation.
I think Mia's mom had like a guilty conscience towards the end. I think she was prioritizing her daughter just getting to a good school and how she looked, and just being the perfect little girl instead of just focusing how her daughter felt and what she needed, and just kind of just listening to her, that deep listening and deep understanding. So I guess at the end she kind of, like you said, she had a little conscience and she started thinking more about her daughter, and then she apologized to her daughter. So I think that was a beautiful moment in the movie as well.
Yeah, and to be perfectly honest with you, that the mother is the most Japanese character in the film. Like the most like genuinely
That's
Japanese.
normal.
Yeah, yeah, like that's how Japanese
Yeah,
people usually are. The rest
yeah,
of it seems to be screen magic to me. Um,
yeah.
and I didn't want to like get right into it, but now I feel like we can talk about my prior experiences in Japan when I didn't have any relations with anyone. I started out, the only people that I knew were people that I worked for, and then I had no friends, I had no contacts in Japan when I first moved out over. So I spent a lot of time totally alone and like trying to learn the language, trying to build relationships with people, and I just didn't have the patience. Like, you in America, you learn to try to make friends right away. You try to like
Yeah.
you try to like fit in a way where it's like, well, these are the my attributes and these are things that are great about me, so that you should accept me for who I am, and then that way I fit in. But in Japan, it's the opposite, where if you talk too much about yourself and you don't have the patience to build trust and reliability with people, they just don't have the time for you, especially as a non-Japanese. And that could feel brutal for someone, especially if you're all starry-eyed about Japan and wanting to be, fit in somehow. And I had to learn the cold hard truth that I was never going to fit in like that. And it has to do with so many cultural features about Japan that no one person should be upset about it, because it's like going to someone's house and being their guest and then getting upset that they do things differently in their own house. That doesn't make a lot of sense, right? You wouldn't do that. So think of Japan as one big house, as one big family. Non-Japanese come to Japan and start getting upset about being treated a certain way, but it's like, but yeah, but you're
Like,
kind
yeah,
of you kind of
you
in
gotta,
their
you gotta
house,
learn, you
man.
gotta learn our way. You're in my house.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah, you're in my house, but yeah.
so yeah, but in Japan there's a term called uchi to soto. It means inside and outside. Uchi literally can mean house in Japanese. So so
Mm.
in an inside and outside also means like uchi meaning like uchi ni kairu, meaning I'm going home to my house. You know, and then or you say soto meaning outside. Soto deru, going outside. And
Soto.
so uchi to soto, inside and outside, right? So it can be that's for anything. That's just prepositional phrasing, like inside, outside. Uchi to soto, you know, inside and outside. So, but it has very deep social implications in Japan, and I think that non-Japanese just are not ready for that when moving over here. Even no matter how much you read about it or watch
And research and
film,
all that
yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
That's what
you're
you're
into like
dealing with.
anime, and you think like, oh, and everybody talks about anime like, oh yeah, that of course it's not like an anime, but what about all your other preconceptions? Like
Yeah.
you're reading like the National Geographic, or you're reading, and you haven't actually experienced what the social pressure is in Japan. So I feel like for most of us, our experience is like Philip. We come over, start living here. We find, and it's funny because it's just like that toothpaste commercial where you feel like, oh,
Mm,
I've actually succeeded. Like I got the job, and then people are starting to be nice to me and polite, but they don't know
yeah.
about the politeness culture in Japan. And you don't know that
Mm,
that's all
you gotta be
tatemae.
polite.
Tatemae, and hone
No.
to tatemae. Hone meaning your deepest
Fake.
inner thoughts,
Mm,
and tatemae meaning
a
how
lot of
you.
fake smiles. Mm.
Yes,
So
yes.
they be very upset with you, and they'll just kind of just say nothing, but they're judging you deeply in the inside, just looking you, with those eyes, just angry and stuff.
Yeah, there comes a
So in other
point.
words, just go to, yeah,
Yeah, well, there comes a point where
I would say
people
just go to
stop
Japan.
treating you politely, and they start expecting you to behave a certain way. You know, and
Mm.
but so then that's where we see Philip in the film is like he's at that point where he hasn't been able to make a break in getting any acting gigs in Japan, right? And he's looking around. Beautiful moments, by the way, which I can relate to, like it's almost like looking. It's almost like looking through a time capsule, seeing myself in that position.
Mm, okay.
Like I wouldn't say I've looked directly at people's windows the way he does. That would be a little bit odd.
Yeah.
But I've experienced that quite a bit, like going to like a park, not having any friends, not knowing anyone, and then just like watching other people picnic together, and you're all by yourself and just kind of like sitting there in a gazebo and watching everyone under the sakura eating their obento, their picnic.
Right, right.
And so yeah, so I can relate to that 100%. And uh, so what does it all seem like to you, Sky? Like as someone who hasn't been through that experience, I'm actually just as curious about that because I don't know what it's like to not know what
Yeah.
it's like.
Yeah, I don't know. All I know is when I go there, I'm not gonna be by myself. I'm gonna have you, so I don't gotta rent no friends. I don't gotta rent nobody. But even though I've never been there, I could just a tiny bit identify because I moved a lot when I was a kid. Never to a foreign country like that, but I know the feeling about being the new person and trying to chase validation and trying to do finding wacky ways to make friends and stuff. So I like that. It reminds me of that a little bit. But of course, I can't identify with the bigger scheme of things. I did enjoy the movie. It seems beautiful. I can't wait to go there and be just as confused as you were when you first got there. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, well,
But hopefully, we
there's
won't get judge you.
there's a lot in Japan that learn about Buddhism, and maybe people don't even know or realize where that's coming from. Like that, the thing that like the certain cultural mores or like the values that they have stem from Buddhism, and not necessarily the Hone Tatemae or just the not even the face culture part, but just a lot of that also comes from like Confucianism and just native Japanese culture, which predates Buddhism. But a lot of I don't know how else to say it, but the more redeeming and wholesome parts of Japan come from Buddhism. So I've
What's
come
up?
to yeah, and so like a major theme in the film to me was, of course, the whole Maya part. So Maya part, which Maya, well, yeah, Maya and Maya. So Maya meaning like face, but or the front of something, and then also the Maya part, which is the illusion, peeling away from the illusion of reality. So and yeah, we like I and yeah, it is like the Matrix. Like it's like the so guys, hot take: rental family is like the Matrix, bro. It's deep.
Wait, hold on.
Just-
Yeah, hey, just moving around. Yeah, I mean, does that have to do like with the ending? Like they have this little like I don't know if you want to say it now. It's like Kiko goes to the temple, right?
yeah.
And we got Philip. Like he never wants to look. He always asks, but he never wants to like look like what's inside there. And after spoiler alert, Kiko passes away. He goes back to the temple, and then he goes inside, and he thinking he's gonna find something like grandiose or something like revealing something incredible, and it's just a mirror, like a simple mirror. Like, I don't know what that means to you. I don't know if that has to do with maybe just start looking for the outside. Everything that you need is right inside here. I don't know if it means something different to you, but what do you think about that?
Well, to kind of explain it, because I can talk about this in various levels of depth and whatever. But first of all, the altar that Hasegawa-san likes to visit is a Shinto altar. So in Japan, they have their native beliefs, right? So before Buddhism, there was Shinto, and Shinto is still a thing in Japan. It's so the Kagami or mirror back there is one of the major altar pieces in the Shinto shrine, and there are usually 3 altar pieces, and they vary depending on like where the shrine is or what god it's honoring. But the mirror itself represents so many different things, and I think that Hikari, the director and writer of the story, I feel wanted to highlight something, and that goes back to Hasegawa-san's the story of his life, and how he suffered a lot in his life, and so there's a term for his form of suffering in Japanese. It's called kokai, which means late life regret, which is actually a thing. It's a very common theme in Japan now, or has been, I feel. But kokai is now like an issue that is well studied in psychology, and in Japan it's become like a phenomenon, kind of like the Kyodatsu syndrome, which followed after World War II. Again, like I said, I can get into real depth about this, but but the thing, so Hasegawa-san, I had tears during the time when he admits at the site of his old house. He dug up the time capsule, and he had a young wife. As young people, he didn't explain it explicitly what happened. He just said that she grew sick and died, and all the while he was off trying to become famous. But here's the thing, and the way that he communicates this, I feel, is also very Japanese, because there's a deeper layer to this than just what we're seeing. He suffered during the keikaku, or tuberculosis outbreak. So keikaku, or tuberculosis, in his time, it was actually called the Koku Minbyo, meaning the Koku Minbyo means like the national disease, the disease of people. But that just should tell you just the impact of the tuberculosis outbreak at the time. And I'm getting that what I've got from this is that's what happened to his wife. That unfortunately tuberculosis was stigmatized in Japan during this time, meaning that you when you got it, you were quiet about it, and like his young wife, they probably sent her away to a sanatorium to be quarantined, because
Gotcha.
tuberculosis is so it's like COVID, right? So now we all,
Right.
COVID happens, it becomes a pandemic. Now we all can relate. Now we can all relate to how the thing that Japan went through, because it wasn't worldwide, it wasn't widespread. Like when you get tuberculosis, America's so large that you could just quarantine people and they won't be, what I mean? Like it won't be, there are ways to deal with it. But in Japan, it was like dense populations, and then they had to send people out to the countryside, and then it became stigmatized because no one wanted to be associated with a family that had tuberculosis, because then they would be shunned, and so I feel like that's the deeper layer of Hasegawa-san's regret, is that and it was a tragedy in the truest sense of the word, because his young wife was, she had to be put in a sanatorium. And so there's another good film that we all could see, like it's I think it's called The Wind Rises in English. It's Kazeo Tachinu. It's a Studio Ghibli film. So like if you like Totoro or Mononoke or something. Yeah. So if you like those things, The Wind Rises, it's telling a similar story. It might as well be Hasegawa-san. It might as well be the same, because a lot of people suffered through the same experience. In Japan, so a lot of elder folks can remember and relate to that. So but then also, there's the other layer where it's like Phillip and Hasegawa-san. Phillip is an aspiring actor, who hasn't really gotten his breakthrough. And Hasegawa-san did get his breakthrough. He's up climbed that mountain and he's coming back down. And so Philip is seeing a future that could be his own, where he's like, I have these deep regrets. I haven't made these connections with anyone, and
He's focused on being an actor and not building relationships.
yeah, yeah, and he's also down on himself. He feels sorry for himself, but then he pities these other people, right? And so there's very unwholesome relationships, and that's what. And Sky, this is what I meant by like I didn't want to tell you yet, but I have my own sort of like perspective on this, like from a Buddhist perspective.
Yeah,
From,
go
like,
ahead. Okay.
but like,
Okay, let's do it.
yeah, I have a Buddhist critique about a lot of it, which, um, and just to make it short, a lot of what people are suffering in the film, and whether it's because of Japanese culture or because of their personal ambitions or their personal desires or craving or like lack of acceptance, I feel like Buddhism just has the answer to all of these problems. It just does. And I mean, like a lot of these stories kind of have been told in Buddhist sutras. And so but the thing is that these are our lives and we have to live them. So that's why this film is important, because showing that these are our lives and we have to live them. Like we're not going to transcend our life no matter how well we practice, but we can live our life more skillfully and more peacefully, and not putting ourselves in these like really depressed states that a lot of these characters are in.
Right, right. I mean, they just trying to fill a void, which is kind of understandable. But as Buddhists, we all know that the answers are within, not without. Like
Yes, yeah.
a lot of them are prioritizing the wrong things. We have the boss Shinji. He is so focused on being, having the best company out there that he doesn't care about values. Like he will do business. It doesn't, yeah, with anybody. And then he's so focused on that, and he still feels empty. That you got that twist where he goes home. You see him like all the movie with his family, and then at the end, the family that he has, it's a rental family. It's like it's wild, just because at the end of the day, everybody wants to come home to somebody that loves them. No
Yeah.
matter how successful you want to be, everybody wants love. Everybody wants to feel safe. Everybody wants to feel appreciated at your home. So yeah, it's I don't know, it's interesting.
I like how Shinji not only like, because we all feel like, oh, he like, what kind of person starts a rental family business, but he's surprisingly well grounded, and I mean, like, yeah,
Yes.
before the twist, but Shinji seems to understand something that other people don't know, and that's the fun part about that. Even though he kind of becomes almost like the villain toward the end, where like
Mhm.
kind of becomes like, there's no villain, uh, but
So,
he has villain attributes, just like but I feel like it could be argued that everybody does in the film, and so it makes it very human. Makes it very human that there's the dark side and the light side, and Shinji seems to actually genuinely think that he's doing people a service when with the rental family business, and I think that it's just interesting. It's interesting that we see that behind the curtain, he is just like those people that they need a rental family. He needs it, and that's very interesting. But with Buddhism, you don't need a rental family.
You need a rental family.
No.
Ain't no plot twist. None of that. You don't gotta be like Phillip and rent whatever, a prostitute or something. You gotta do all that stuff, guys. But all you gotta do
Right,
just
and
sit down, meditate. None of that wild stuff.
well, what the film is also showing us is just aspects of life in Japan that people are not necessarily privy to if they've never been or haven't lived here. They like that. A lot of the things that occur here seem really just out of whack in comparison to like Western culture. But Western culture also has these things. It's just in different forms and formats. But they're there. So that's always been my critique of like American critique of Japanese culture, because like people would say Japanese television's weird, man. Like, and I'm like, so they'll talk about like Takeshi's Castle or something, or like where you know, people on the show are running through obstacle courses and falling in hilarious ways and stuff. And people are like, well, that's weird. And I'm like, well, have you ever heard of ridiculousness? Or have you ever heard of
It's the
jackass?
same thing.
It's yeah,
It's
they'll
the
be
same.
like they'll point at something about Japanese television or something online.
And then generalize.
Yeah, and it's like, and you know, not to say like I'm not saying it to be like, well, Americans are dumb because they don't. That's not my point. Is that like, no, just take yourself out of the cultural framework that you're thinking in, and then have that same outlook about your own culture, and start to realize that like humans just are
We're weird to
just
somebody else.
we're just human. We're just we're just people, and like do we express ourselves in different ways, and it's kind of like that, like back in the heyday of peace of mind, like when me, Sense, and Ocean were talking about toxic masculinity. I remember talking about how like I would hang around a group of elder white men, and they would say, you know, this generation now they all dress like girls and stuff. and I'm talking about the generation where they listen to like ACDC and like Led Zeppelin and who else like
Then
Van Halen
have you seen
and I'm like,
they're rocking bad shirts
yeah,
and bell bottoms
yeah,
and assholes with pigs, like, you know, like, come on, like, you don't think you look ridiculous, like, looking back at it, but it was
but
just a fashion back then, so
to
yeah.
me, but that's the thing. To me, it's not like kind of the opposite. People are expressing themselves the way
Well,
that
yeah,
they
that's a
yeah
beautiful.
yeah, and fashion changes, and it's just odd to me that the that generation has become so militant about heteronormativity when they themselves in that generation were very flamboyant and had all kinds of like feminine,
Right, right.
like their idols would literally go to thrift stores and buy women's clothing.
Yeah,
You know, so
yeah.
anyway, but it's just again, rental family kind of has that sort of like Japan is this foreign land and it's unique and it's odd, but at the same time, it's comfortable in its own skin. And it's like, I do kind of feel like I'm just experiencing more of Japan when I watch the film, you know? And I've had students as a teacher of adults. I've had students like Hasegawa-san, and I've had students like the girl. There's something novel about that, you know, and I appreciate it. And I'm grateful. Yeah, that I've been able to meet such people, and so that when I've watched the film, I'm like, yeah, I relate to this.
I unfortunately can't relate too much. I mean, at least, obviously not yet. At least, you know, of course, my goal is to go to Japan one day and see it firsthand and see how it works. But yeah,
Okay. Well, before we wrap it up, I wanted to just mention something about Hasegawa-san or Kiko, the guy, you know, the actor, and
exactly. Yep.
they go back to his hometown and they go back to his roots, right? Where
The
they go
tree,
to,
yeah.
yeah, you know where I'm headed. So they literally sleep in his abandoned house, which like it's you know it's a ruin, it's in ruins. But they're like there. Philip wakes up worried that Hasegawa-san has something bad happened to him because he has dementia. He's been sundowning, so he like wandered off somewhere. Is what he thinks. But then he finds out that Hasegawa-san is up at this peak or at this like elevation in the mountain, and then there's this is just this big tree, and I don't even know what kind. It might be a ginkgo tree, it might be some other tree, but it sprawling branches and roots, and you can see like the roots, how they're in the ground, and like he's digging in the ground, literally at the roots, right?
Hmm.
And it also the film it takes care to show you how the branches reach up to the sky, and that to me is like kind of like symbolic of Hasegawa-san and and to an extent all of us really, but especially elder people. But
Yeah.
how you can see the roots and how where this is like the origin of his life and how he's reached to the sky. Hasegawa-san is an exemplar. He embodies the Japanese quality of gaman suru, meaning to endure hardship, with patience, and almost with brevity in a way. Like he almost doesn't. He's almost like not. He doesn't really. show that he's bothered until the final moments where he uncovers the the time capsule and he shows the photo of his late wife. And then he's also embodying nintai, which is perseverance through suffering, right? So he suffered a great loss and something that I feel like would cripple a lot of people. But he carried on and he experienced his measure of success. And he was also an exemplar to Phillip, And these are such beautiful lessons for us,
Absolutely. What did you learn from the movie?
What do I
Like,
love
what
about
was like the biggest message
the
for
biggest
you?
message
Like
for
for
me?
myself, yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Why don't you go first so we can?
I think, yeah, I'll go ahead. I want to say it shows you about priorities. It shows you about valuing the most important things in your life. Instead of chasing things that you don't need. It's the simple things. And I think that's the most beautiful. Letting go, and helping others. It's about building connections, important, special connections. Than the whole superficial. How do I look to other people? So I think
Oh,
that's what it means. That way, when we get to an older age, we don't have any regrets or stuff. We lived the life that we wanted to, and we made other people happy.
yeah. I like that. Um, and so in that sense, what part of the film do you think, Sky, that actually demonstrated that the best?
I would say a lot of the things was when Philip was sacrificing himself. Like when he goes to the park after messing up things with Mia, after she finds out that they were lying to her,
Yeah.
and he still put himself out there, to see the rejection and things that could happen. And same thing when he abandoned Kikwa. Like he got mad at him and told him to get out and all that stuff, and he
Yeah.
came back, and got over that fear that what could happen, the might, what could, and he's like, well, I think this is important. I want to build this connection, and I think that's the one of the biggest messages here. Like, you cannot be scared to fix your relationships, to build relationships. So I think that was very important. And another one important scene I would say is the mirror, because to me, I took it as like, you look in yourself in the mirror and like, okay, all the grandiose things around, at at the end, it's all about you looking yourself in the mirror, looking within. At least that's what I caught from the movie.
So yeah, the mirror was a major part. Like it was like the sort of the revelation of the film, which I thought was awesome and very profound. But I think that there are aspects of the Buddhist practice and living in Japan that will show that you're like show you your true self, as it were. And we can get into that, how like anatta, there's no self, whatever. But there's the true self concept as well, where, or you might say Buddha nature, or you might say there are various ways of calling it and talking about it. But it's not all the things that most people think it is. It's definitely not the ego. It's definitely not, it's not need, like you feel like you want to have need instant gratification. It's not that either. And that's kind of like when you learn enduring patience and learn to coexist with people without needing to be the most important person there, or
Right.
and the truth is that the mirror shows us that you actually are. We all are. Whoever's standing there at that, you have to take turns to stand there in the altar, to be able to see, when it's your turn, you're gonna see that, and um, so anyway, the film to me is an elevation of people, as which is funny because you think about a rental family and people feeling lonely or feeling they need to save face, and you think that
Yeah.
it's not an elevation, that it is a kind of, it's almost like degrading people. It's not. It's elevating these people and showing that they are deserving loving kindness, and the person that's denying it the most of them is their own self. That is,
Right.
yeah, that's the major takeaway, I feel like. um
That's our plot twist.
yeah, that's my plot. Yeah, it's our plot twist. But yeah, brother, is there anything, um I feel like we're coming to the end of our time. Anything you would like to add
Yeah.
before we go?
I enjoyed this movie. It showed me a lot about not only Japanese culture, but ourselves, how we view life, our priorities, the things we want to do. So I advise people to go check the movie out. Check the movie out. see how you feel, see what Dharma is in the movie, you know, what message or lesson you can learn from it, and enjoy.
So if you were to rate this film 1 to 10,
A
1 to 10, 1 to 10.
8.5. I would get 8.5. Like if Philip would have like a, I don't know, like he would find like maybe like a family on his own, or maybe a girlfriend or something. Maybe it'll be a 10. But I'll give it a strong 8.5. You know, everybody for the most part had a, you know, a good ending. You know, except for, you know, Kiko, rest in peace. But you know, he was a great
Oh,
character.
he had a good ending.
And,
He got what he wanted in the end.
yeah, well, yeah, he went back home. He went back home.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what I can say.
Okay.
8.5. Strong.
Okay. I would have to give it. Okay, so I have to remind myself that it is the kind of movie it is. It's not like one of those like CG films or.
Right. Give them 5 bows.
I would give it a 9, and that is an honest answer. I would say, yeah, because everything about it is thoughtfully crafted. Even like the filmography of it, like the photography of the film, and like the angles, the perspectives that were given, the use of motif, the use of character development, and the twists and everything, all the way that all the plots tie together. It's a 9. Yeah, the fact that we thought to do a film review about it, and through a Buddhist perspective, to me, because and the reason that it's not a 10 is because it wears a lot of Japanese culture on its sleeve, but the only thing that we see of Buddhism, like explicitly, is a funeral, and it's like a monk chanting, like for maybe it was the Hanya Shingyo, but he's chanting a funeral service, and the funeral's not a real funeral, which also kind of so it kind of lowers the score. Not a lot of Buddhist discussion explicitly. There's a lot you could take away as a Buddhist, but there's a common and yeah, we could probably leave it here with this one.
If anybody in the Sangha has a movie idea that we should just watch and review,
yeah,
like let us know in the comment section. Like we'll be more than happy to watch it and do a little review about it for sure.
Yeah. No, that's yes, guys. If you want us to review anything, not just film, but especially film, let us know. All right, guys, that's the end of our time. Thank you so much. And if you made it this far, salut to you. I've been Dharma. Peace.
I'm Dharma Sky. Like and subscribe. Come on. Like and subscribe.
Yeah, guys. All right. Until next time. Peace, guys.